This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Good morning and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Thursday, May 19. In Squiz Kids Today, Melbourne teen, our youngest Everest climber. No more Maccas in Russia. Cody Simpson's big night in the pool, and here come the aliens. That's what's making news, kid style.
The lowdown.
A Melbourne teenager has become the youngest Aussie ever to climb Mount Everest, reaching the top of the world's highest mountain earlier this week and doing it with her mum. 19-year-old Gabby Canizay stood on the rooftop of the world alongside her mum Jane and took in the amazing view for an entire hour after having climbed to the summit of the 8,849-metre high mountain. And what do you suppose she did straight after? Pop herself into a long hot bath? Flop in front of the nearest telly to watch some more YouTube? No, she celebrated her achievement by promptly climbing to the top of the mountain next door, a peak called Lhotse, which stands at a piddling 8,516 metres high. Lhotse is the world's fourth highest peak. Incredible. Now, you might have noticed that there are lots of Mount Everest stories in the media at the moment, including the excellent one Amanda shared with us yesterday about the British man Kenton Cool, and yes, that is his name, who climbed Everest this week for the 16th time. That's because it's coming into summer in the Northern Hemisphere, which marks the start of the Everest climbing season. And of course, no one climbs Everest without the help of a local guide, or Sherpa, who are often the unsung heroes of every Everest ascent. The Sherpa helping Gabby to the top of the world said that Gabby was one of the kindest people he'd ever climbed alongside, which we think is about the nicest thing anyone could ever say about a person. Well done, Gabby.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Russia, where people are saying "Do svidaniya," which is Russian for goodbye, to Big Macs, McFlurries and McNuggets. That's because McDonald's is pulling out of Russia, selling every single one of its 850 restaurants there in response to the war in Ukraine. McDonald's first opened in Russia in Moscow, the capital, in 1990. Its golden arches were seen back then as symbols of peace, marking the end of the Cold War between America and the Russian-led Soviet Union. But earlier this year, and 32 years later, Russia invaded Ukraine. The head of the global fast food giant said that it was impossible to ignore the harm caused by this war. At least Maccas will continue to pay its 62,000 Russian staff until new restaurant owners take over. So, there's that.
Sport time.
All eyes were on a swimming pool in Adelaide last night as Australia's best swimmers battled it out for a spot on the Commonwealth Games team. Pop singer turned butterfly swimmer Cody Si caused most ripples in the pool and out, touching the wall third behind Matt Temple and Olympic gold medalist Kyle Chalmers to qualify not only for the Australian Commonwealth Games team, but also for the upcoming World Championships. Not bad for a kid who, at 13, quit swimming to pursue a music career. Multi-talented. Other swimmers making a splash last night. Whoops. There goes the dad joke alarm. Included superfish Molly O'Callaghan and Shayna Jack, who emerged from the cloud of controversy that's been hovering over her to win a spot on the Com Games team as well. The next Commonwealth Games will be held in Birmingham, in England, at the end of July, where our swimmers know a good showing and a swag of medals will help position them for the next Olympics in Paris in 2 years' time. Oh la la! A message now from our podcast partner, the Australian Electoral Commission, or AEC for short. This Saturday is a big one. No, not my birthday. It's the day, every 3 years, that your parents troop off to the local primary school, squirrel themselves away inside a cardboard box and scribble down numbers on a piece of paper. I'm talking about the federal election, people. Now, the AEC are the ones in charge of running it and counting all of those votes. So, who better to explain the ins and outs of an election? Why is voting so secretive? What's a political party? And why don't those parties have fairy bread? And is it really true that if you laid every pencil used on election day end to end, it would go from one end of Tassie to the other? All these questions and more are answered in our special Election Eve Q&A episode with the AEC's resident cardboard voting booth expert, Evan Eakin-Smith. If you're listening on a podcast app, it should play straight after this episode, or look for it on the Q&A page of our website, squizkids.com.au. You're welcome.
Spaced out.
Do you sometimes look up into the night sky and wonder if there are aliens up there somewhere? Do you watch Star Wars movies or the Mandalorian series and see all those fantastical creatures and wonder if maybe they're actually out there? Well, you're not alone. And this week, for the first time, the United States government admitted it should maybe do something more to investigate alien life forms. You've heard of UFOs, right? Unidentified flying objects, believed by some people to be spaceships from outer space. Well, high-ranking military people testified before a US government hearing on Tuesday, and while they didn't give away too much about their investigations, they did confirm they were creating a new task force to gather evidence and see what it might turn up. Because who doesn't love the idea of an alien spaceship? Hundreds of Hollywood films and cartoons, after all, can't be wrong.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which hamburger chain has permanently closed down all of its restaurants in Russia? Yeah, that's right, it's McDonald's, or Maccas for short. Question number 2. What does the acronym UFO stand for? Yeah, that's right, it's Unidentified Flying Object. Question number 3. Which Aussie city does our youngest ever Everest climber, Gabby Canizet, come from? Yeah, that's right, it's Melbourne.
Shout-outs.
It's May 19. Today is our 500th episode. Yep, that's 500 times, give or take, that I've been in your ears. 500 times that we've hung out together. And they said we'd never last. A huge thank you to all Squiz Kids listeners for being so awesome and supportive. We appreciate every single one of you. Now, excuse me while I go and have a lie down. Meanwhile, if you like what we do, please be sure to tell your friends. We'd love to be around for another 500 episodes, and that's the only way we grow. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Jaden from Vermont South, Tully from Merimbula, Natalie from Craigburn, William from Hornsby, and Ryan from Westley. And belated birthday shout-outs go to Angus from Sydney, Eliza from Applecross, and Camretta from Catherine. Classroom shout-outs today go to Class 3WD and 3B with Mrs. Ball and Ms. Dyer at St John the Baptist Catholic School in Adelaide. Class 5N at St Joseph's School in Chinchilla, and Class 5C and Ms. Corrie at St John's Anglican College in Forest Lake in Brizzy. Plus, it's a special shout-out to Ms. Kath Nelson and her class at St Mary's Parish School in Hay, and Mrs. Kohler and Grade 4 at William Clark College, both of whom recently became fully fledged members of Squiz Kids for Schools. And a very warm welcome aboard to you both. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout-out, or if you're after a classroom shout-out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.